Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
The air feels different today, folks, and if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, you can probably sense it already. There's a low rumble beneath the surface of this off-season, the kind that usually precedes either triumph or heartbreak, and today we're staring straight into it. A major free agency update has dropped, and it's one that carries teeth. Kyle Tucker, the crown jewel so many of us have been dreaming about, is now at the center of a story that's becoming more tense by the hour. There are shadows forming around the Jays' pursuit, and while hope is still alive, a scary reality is slowly beginning to unfold. So settle in, because this one matters, and before we dive in, make sure you like the video, share it with fellow Jays fans, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report for daily coverage you won't want to miss. While the headlines scream Tucker, sometimes it's the quieter moves that tell you just as much about a front office's mindset, and that's where I want to begin today. The Toronto Blue Jays have dipped back into familiar waters by agreeing to a minor league deal with Eloy Jimenez, complete with a spring training invitation. On paper, it's the sort of signing that barely moves the needle. In reality, it's a fascinating little gamble that could whisper rather than shout its importance. Jimenez is 29 years old, still young enough to dream, but old enough to know that chances like this don't come endlessly. What makes this story intriguing is not just the name, but the transformation. Jimenez has reportedly shed 20 pounds since the end of last season, and has been grinding away in the Dominican Winter League, a place where careers are either quietly reborn or gently laid to rest. Baseball has a funny way of rewarding those who return leaner, hungrier, and humbled. Numbers tell part of the story too, with a respectable slash line and flashes of the power that once made him a Rookie of the Year finalist and a Silver Slugger winner in the shortened season. The talent never vanished, it simply went into hiding. There's something very Ross Atkins about this move. It's not glamorous, it won't dominate talk radio, but it's a classic lightning-in-a-bottle attempt. Every year, teams unearth value where others stopped looking, and sometimes those players end up shaping seasons in ways nobody predicted. Jimenez never even suited up for the Jays last year after joining late, and now he's back with nothing guaranteed except an opportunity. Zero risk, potentially meaningful reward. As a fan, you can't help but be quietly curious, and curiosity is where baseball magic often begins. Another minor move came through with the signing of Rafael Antiga on a minor league contract. An infielder, likely depth rather than destiny, and the sort of transaction that passes by without ceremony. But spring training is built on these names, these auditions, and sometimes depth becomes necessity quicker than anyone expects. Not every story is meant to be epic, but every story matters in a long season. Now, though, the calm ends here, because late last night, as most of the city slept, the free agency waters churned violently. Reports dropped, and they weren't subtle. According to league sources, the three teams deeply entrenched in Kyle Tucker negotiations are the Toronto Blue Jays, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the New York Mets. All three have met with Tucker, some in person, some over Zoom, all making their pitch for a player who could tilt the balance of power in baseball. If you're feeling a knot in your stomach, you're not alone. The Blue Jays were first, hosting Tucker in person weeks ago, and for a time, that alone felt like momentum. But baseball rarely rewards complacency. The Dodgers loom like a familiar villain, armed with pedigree and polish, while the Mets arrive with something just as dangerous. Steve Cohen's limitless wallet and a fanbase that's suddenly brimming with confidence. Reports suggest the Mets meeting went well, and optimism is creeping into Queens. That's when reality starts to feel uncomfortable. This is where the fear sets in, not because the Jays are out, but because they're no longer alone. We've seen this movie before. Second place for Shohei Ohtani. Near the top for Juan Soto. So close with Roki Sasaki. The Blue Jays have been aggressive, yes, but aggression without closure eventually becomes frustration. With Ross Atkins entering the final year of his contract, this feels like a crossroads moment. This is when legacies are either cemented or questioned. Fans can sense it too. Social media is buzzing, nerves are fraying, and optimism feels fragile. The longer this drags on, the more power shifts to uncertainty. Meanwhile, Mets fans grow louder, Dodgers fans grow smugger, and Jays fans are left refreshing feeds at midnight, hoping for clarity. If you're feeling that tension, hit the like button, because you're not riding this emotional roller coaster alone, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report so you don't miss a single twist. There's another layer to this anxiety, and it's tied to the bigger picture. What if Tucker doesn't come? What if Bo Bichette's future takes a sharp turn elsewhere? Suddenly, questions about the lineup feel heavier. On paper, it's still strong. George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Alejandro Kirk, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Santander, Okamoto, Clement, and yes, even Jimenez as a wild card. It's a good lineup. Maybe even a very good one. But is good enough the goal? That's the real question haunting this off-season. Do you want to be the team that's consistently competitive, or the team that strikes fear into October opponents? Kyle Tucker doesn't just add wins, he adds belief. He turns solid into scary, and scary into special. Without him, the Jays can still compete. With him, they can dominate. That's the difference between filling seats and raising banners. To be fair, baseball is cruelly unpredictable. Springer might regress, but Santander could bounce back stronger. Okamoto might surprise. Barger could break out. Seasons are built on unexpected heroes as much as marquee names. Even if the worst happens, the Jays aren't doomed. But destiny doesn't always knock twice, and moments like this define eras. So here we are, standing on the edge of possibility. The Jays are still in it, still fighting, still very much alive in the Tucker sweepstakes. But the margin for error is shrinking, and the clock is getting louder. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Are you confident, nervous, or somewhere in between? And as always, thank you for the incredible support. Like, share, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because the next few days could change everything. Cheers, folks.